no longer Conservative. You'll be voting against the party, Lord Heseltine.
Oh, no, I'm a member of the Conservative Party, and I'm only doing what every Conservative Prime Minister has urged people to do for 50 years. I've supported every Conservative Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, and every one of them pointed to a European destiny. I haven't changed. Elements in my party have changed, but that's not me.
But surely the party is supporting the referendum, the result of the referendum when the British public had its say on membership of the European Union.
Yeah, that is true. And from the day of the result, I have argued that the fight back starts here. Parliament is sovereign in this country, and the British people, now that they know the facts, the fact that there are not going to be 50 million Turks coming to live here and the dividend for the health service is a fiction, they should be given a chance to vote on the deal itself as opposed to the empty promises with which it was presented.
You say the fight back, to use your words. The fight back against what? The expression of democracy by the people?
Well, I spent my life fighting against the expression of democracy when it led to Labour governments. And having then often secured a Conservative mandate, we reversed many of the policies of the Labour government. So the essence of democracy is that you fight for what you believe in, and as long as you can persuade Parliament to back you, you are entitled to bring about change.
But the people who voted to leave, Lord Heseltine, would say they believed in leaving the European Union. How come your view is superior? How come is your view superior?
Nicola Sturgeon is still demanding a second referendum. Nigel Farage, before the referendum campaign, thinking he was going to lose, said there'll need to be a second referendum. The fact of the matter is that the referendum was advisory, and
it wasn't said so at the time,
divided.
Lord Heseltine. That wasn't said at the time, Lord Heseltine. What was said at the time? No, what was said on the literature, Lord Heseltine, was that the government would enact your, as in the people's, your decision. Yeah. There was no suggestion that it would be sort of second time around.
Simple. Do you believe in parliamentary democracy? I do. Parliament is sovereign, and whatever the people say, in the end they have to persuade the House of Commons in order to pass their legislation. They failed to do that, and actually, in a very sophisticated way, the House of Commons reflects the indecision in every part of our country,
and there was me,
in every company.
And there was me, Lord Heseltine, and some of my listeners thinking that the politicians worked for us, and that's clearly wrong.
Oh, no. We are working for you. It's precisely because I am not prepared to make this country poorer and less influential that I will not accept Brexit, and I will continue to resist the proposals to do what Brexit does. It's precisely because I'm on your side.
Right. Some of your decision-making in the past has not always been right. I read that you were once a fan of the single currency.
I believed that the single currency would succeed, and of course I was right, despite all the headlines forecasting the most appalling dilemma. I believe that in the end Britain will have to reconsider its position towards the single currency, just like they did with the meter. Do you remember the battle about the kilogram and the grams and the meters? All of these were going to herald the end of British sovereignty, but actually they're now part of the currency of our country. And people forget, do you know where the pound came from? The pound came when the Romans invaded us, all that decades
so
ago.
You're still an advocate of the single currency, Lord Heseltine?
There will be a time when it will be appropriate for us to reconsider that decision.
And you would support the single currency, just so that I get that straight?
It is very possible I will, or not, as the case may be.
And lastly, to those who say you risk putting Mr. Corbyn into number 10 by urging Conservatives to vote Lib Dem and obviously therefore diluting the Conservative vote, how would you respond?
Well, this is the old Reds under the bed scare. It comes out at every election campaign. And you and I know that there isn't the slightest prospect of Mr. Corbyn becoming Prime Minister with the manifesto that he's got. Indeed, the really interesting question is whether Mr. Corbyn will even be leader of the Labour Party by Christmas, given the result that he's going to achieve in the election itself.
And lastly, as a seasoned politician, you're, I'm sure, aware of the intervention by the Chief Rabbi today and his views of what he calls the poison of the Labour Party. A word on that, Lord Heseltine?
I am totally sympathetic. I would, perhaps you would expect this. I'm not Jewish, although a lot of my friends are. And indeed, I once appeared in the Jewish Chronicle as a successful graduate of Oxford, because my name could so easily be seen as derived from a Jewish background. But where I amplify what the chief rabbi has said is that any prejudice on the grounds of color, class, and creed is absolutely abhorrent to me. And my first vote against the Conservative Party was when I voted for the Labour Party government in 1968, if I remember correctly, when they introduced the race relations legislation. And my party intended, encouraged by Enoch Powell, to vote against. In fact, they 3 weeks later changed their position and supported the legislation. And my greatest political moment was the speech in 1981 to the Conservative Party. They're black, they're British, they were born here, they vote here. And I was cheered to the echo.
Before I let you go, a word on Boris Johnson, the current Conservative leader and Prime Minister. Your view of him?
I like Boris. I get on well with him. He took over from me in Henley, and we worked together closely when he was Mayor of London. He is wrong on Brexit. Boris is a very flexible politician. He has the capacity to charm, but sometimes he gets it wrong, and in spades, he's got Brexit wrong.